YouTube. Stay for this stuff. That theme song was always the funniest to me, and I did that theme song because I want to talk about old school versus present school or new school. I gotta talk about this because I just went Angie Stone on somebody on Instagram, and this girl trying to front like her father is so perfect. It's like, bitch, baby boomers ain't shit, all right? And the title of this video is going to be Baby Boomers versus Millennials. And why did I say Angie Stone? Because I love our black men of this generation. Just because I'm single, I am not bitter, okay? Now, most of the men my age that I know, and if they are fathers, they're picking up their kids from school. My homeboy that's married, he got kids. He is very much involved with the child rearing, as they call it. He picks up the kids from school. Every time I'm on the phone with him, he's with his children. And I love that. I love that. Now, does he cook and clean? I'm not really sure, but from before he was married, no. But maybe he's come along. But the main thing is, most men of this generation, they cook and clean. They help out with the chores. They help out with the children. They're taking the children to school. They're picking the children up from school. They're coming to PTAs. And I was even telling my coworker, especially in the Brownsville area, I love that for us as black women from the hood. Like, I love it. Just because my son father not doing it, that don't mean that other fathers are not doing it. Plenty of fathers of my generation help out. Plenty. A lot of my homegirls that have kids, their children's fathers are helping them. So I just want to give a salute to millennial men right now. Millennial men have degrees, education, very intelligent, all right? They don't just jump to conclusions, all right? They don't leave their drawers on the floor and expect their wives and girlfriends to pick it up. That's not what millennial, but baby boomers do that, okay? So I get tight when people say stuff like, so the Instagram lady, I forget her name, but she's an influencer, and she's like, oh, she mad because her friend, platonic friend, didn't open the door for her. So she calls her father, and she's like, the father go in like, oh, this generation, like talking about our generation. I'm like, first of all, baby boomers, from what I remember as a child, nobody's father picked them up from school. That's first and foremost. Baby boomers didn't do shit, and our mothers were single married mothers. That's first and foremost. And then the ones who wasn't home, because you had a lot of my friends don't know their dads, or the dad wasn't in the home. That's another thing. Like, baby boomers, they the number one deadbeats. Number one deadbeats. Most of my friends that's millennials, and what is that, generation X, like people that's in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, their fathers was not around at all. Like, that whole generation of baby boomers, the men wasn't shit. And then the men who were something, they didn't help out, okay, in the household. They the worst generation when it comes to chivalry. So I'm like, what are you talking about? You're not going to see a baby boomer open the door for his wife. You lying. That ain't going on. Now, the older generation before them, maybe. Our generation, maybe. Now, I've been on many a dates in my life. About 2 or 3 men open doors for me. I think that's basic. You could, just because you're a woman, that doesn't mean you're so weak you can't open a door for yourself. Like, what is that? And I'm like, girl, men don't do that for their wives and girlfriends. So who is you, a platonic friend? Like, you weird for even saying, oh, well, he wrong for not opening a door. And a lot of these men, some men that are chivalry, they show chivalry, they're not going to help you in the household. I'd rather have a man help me in the household than to have all that chivalry going on. Chivalry means absolutely nothing. He could just be doing that to, that's something a narcissist would actually do, to try to show himself a perfect gentleman, but then he's a narcissist in the end. That happens too. And the dumbest advice that my mother ever gave me was, oh, a man's supposed to walk you home. Ladies, and I'm talking to my ladies from, when do people actually, some people start dating at 15, going out on dates right on up until in their 50s. I'm talking to women of all ages. Do not let a man know your address on the first date. It's 2024. Someone can unalive you, okay? That is the dumbest advice, the dumbest thing I ever heard, okay? A lot of the things that baby boomers say don't make sense. And they didn't even do it themselves. So that's another thing. So this Instagram influencer, I started to ask her, but I didn't want to sound mean. But I was like, is your parents even together for you to be talking about some, oh, what your father said, what your father said? Are they even together? Like, are they even married? Like, you know, I was like, but what I did say was, I know your father is not opening the doors everywhere you and him and your mother go. That doesn't even make any sense. So when they go to the doctor, he's opening the car door. When they go to church, he's opening the car door. No, he's not. That's not practical. That doesn't even make any sense. Like, every single time. And the fact that she didn't say that, and she calls her father to say it, that's how you know it's for views. So I try not to be on Instagram because it'd be so much ignorance. I feel like Instagram is the most ignorant social media that they have. It's so much that I've been through just in a short space of time, to the point that I wasn't on Instagram for a few months and then I was bored. It's summertime, so I got back on. But it's just like, you just want views, because you should not expect a man that is not your man to do boyfriend shit. And we all saying that in the comments, like, what? And it has nothing to do with a generational thing, because millennial men, they are way better than baby boomers. First of all, even sexually, a lot of our mothers never really enjoyed sex. Let's see, now this is a real nasty topic. It just went I know y'all watching this like, ew, I don't want to think about my parents having sex. Yeah, but a lot of older women, right, if y'all have that open relationship, and even with my friends, aunts and stuff like that, a lot of older women that's 60 and over, they never enjoyed having sex, because the older men of that generation didn't care. Okay, you have women, especially from the older generation, never had an orgasm. Millennial men, every time, you know, I would say 95% of the time, they care about my pleasure and what I want. So I love me a millennial man. I love our generation of men. I love that they step up. Also, a lot of people are marriage before carriage. Now, my parents was marriage before carriage, but a lot of baby boomers didn't do it that way. So this generation is more educated, got more money. Even though the economy is bad, most people still make more than their parents did. We live better lives, we travel more, we're more cultured than our parents were. So stop throwing shade to millennials. You know, so when she was talking, you know, when the father, I hate when baby boomers start talking about your generation this and your generation that. Like, okay, so for the men that don't know how to treat a woman, how you think, and I said it to her, how do you think for the men in our generation that don't know how to treat a woman, where you think they got that from? Where you think they learned that from? And when you really think about it, even you have, and sometimes in a relationship or dating, sometimes a man don't keep his word. That's learned behavior from childhood. I remember I had a coworker, she told me how When she was 8 years old, her father was supposed to take her out for her birthday. He never showed up. A lot of men do that. They make plans for a date and don't show up. That doesn't really normally happen to me, but I've heard of women that have been ghosted. They got all dressed up and got ghosted. You have to understand, men who do that, their fathers did that to them. Somebody did that to them, and they're repeating a cycle in their relationships. So please, with the baby boom it is, and back in the day it is, most of our mothers that were married, because most baby boomers were not married. That's first and foremost. They were not. And then for the ones that were, they were single married mothers, right? Single married mothers. I'd rather be a single mom and my son's father pick up my son to take him wherever he want to take him, and yeah, give me a break sometime. I'm all for it. They wasn't doing that back in the day. Back in the days, if your parents was not together, your father just wasn't around. It was that simple. Like, back in the days, especially in the 60s, nobody's father was coming to get them on a weekend. There was no court order to mandate that, like weekend visits. They didn't do that back then. Very few women actually, child support, and quote me if I'm wrong, child support didn't start till about the 80s. That's when women started taking men for child support, in the early 80s. That's when child support. And then I remember growing up, the only person I knew that was like receiving child support was literally one person in my whole childhood, like all the schools I went to. And we was all shocked, like, wow, you get checks from your father? He was like, yeah, my mom is cool. She let me keep all the money, whatever I need, clothes, whatever. And he was in high school. So he was like, yeah, from the time I was little, my mom would just spend it on me. And then now that I'm of age, I just have all the money. If I want, food for lunch, a coat, clothes, whatever, that's my money or whatever. My mother lets me keep all the money. He's like, oh, that's what's up. And I'm the same way. Like, whenever I got money from, my son, grandparents, whatever, I always let my son keep it, from even when he was 3, 4, 5 years old. Because, yeah, that is his money. Whether it be the grandparents, the auntie, whoever giving money, it's the child's money. God always blessed me to have my own, so I've always been good. Or I might use it for an outing. If we go into the museum and he wants something to eat, yeah, of course. Or if we in a theme park, of course. What else? Little things like that. A few times I used it for groceries. He eating too, right? I never used it for my hair, nails. I never did that. That's wrong. Yeah. So I just I felt like Angie Stone. 'Cause you're my black brother, strong brother. There is no one above you. I want you to know that I'm here for you. So I personally love my black men that are millennials, okay? Don't be talking about my millennials. Don't be talking about them, alright? And that's what I don't understand. And one thing about black women, just because you're single, right, that don't mean you gotta be bitter. You should have male friends around you, or you should have men your own age around you to give you hope, to be like, yeah, you shouldn't be on the internet or on social media talking down about your generation, because boo, you are part of the generation. So that, to me, that's just so retarded. Like, how you gonna talk about your own generation? My generation is way better, okay? You ain't got no single married moms in my generation. Very few. I know one girl, she's a single married mom, and when she was pregnant, she got married. She is very different from anybody I've ever met. And she's only 2 years older, same generation, 2 years older. But everybody else, they got married because they actually like a nigga, not because they was pregnant. They not no single married moms. Most women I know, if you do not help them out in household, it's over. Like, that's a non-negotiable. Like, ain't nobody picking up, And this particular same girl that I know that's a single married mom, she does everything. She cook, clean, and fix things. Like, she's different. She's different. But for the most part, I could say all my friends that's in long-term relationships, even my homegirl who just got engaged, the main thing that she love about her man is he help with the kids. He take her 2 boys to school, and the 2 that they have together, he changed diapers. He watched them. If me and her hanging out, he watching them. That's a millennial man, and he encourages her to go out. I'm like, yeah, because he's secure. He's secure within himself. You know, he encourages her to work. He encourages her to do positive things in life, right? A lot of baby boomers, they wasn't encouraging our mothers to do nothing. They wasn't telling them to go back to school, or you need to do this, or you should be, you know, they wasn't doing that. They wanted them barefoot and pregnant. They wanted them home. You know, making your woman stay home just shows how insecure you are as a man. A real man wants his woman to work because he know why? Because he know that things are expensive and he gonna need help after a while. So instead of, you know, robbing Peter to pay Paul, why don't you have your woman help you out? That's your partner. That's not your maid. So that's why I love millennial men, because they're smart enough to know they need some help. And they'll tell you to your face, I can't do it by myself. I need some help. You know, they not Superman, and they ain't trying to be Superman. Just like I ain't Superwoman. You know, a real man loves an independent woman. A real man loves an educated woman. Because guess what? That educated woman can help you build your credit, save money. That's what your woman is supposed to be, a helpmeet. A man could pay all the bills if he's financially able to. But if he's not, that doesn't make him less of a man because he can't pay all the bills. That's the most ridiculous thing I heard. You know, most men cannot pay all the bills, especially black men. And it's not even, I don't know if it's racism, but let's be honest. Most black men that's working, even if they have a good job, they are not making as much as their white counterparts. When you do the statistics, and I was reading an article in Money something, and they were showing like white men that's in power versus black men that's in power, supervisor, manager positions. It's day and night. It's day and night. So even the most successful black man, when you compare his money to the white man, is nothing. You know, a black man that's making 6 figures in this economy is not enough. That's scary, but it's true. It's not enough. So his wife gotta work, and that's okay. That doesn't make him less of a man. You know. But yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. Please put your comments on the bottom. Let's get it popping. Millennials versus baby boomers. What generation are you from? And give a little shout out of what you like about your generation. I love that millennials are romantic. Most of my friends we get wined and dined, flowers, we get the works. Baby boomers, I've never seen that. I've never seen no baby boomer give their wife flowers. I've never seen it. Never seen it. Millennials, we go on real dates. We do vacations. I think my generation thought of that. Vacations are mandatory. If you're dating someone, you need to go on vacation. That's how you learn a person. Especially if you don't live with them, take a trip with them. Even Flavor of Love, he's a little older than me, but he said it. If you want to get to know someone, you go on vacation with them. Take a trip with them. That's the best way to get to know someone. And I feel like it's imperative. Even if you just go to the little Pocono thing, that's another thing. Baby boomers was not doing that. You know, Poconos and romantic getaways and I'ma surprise you for your birthday. Baby boomers don't do that shit. We created that romance. We created all of that. Generation, and then what is that? Generation X, you know. Now, you might have a few boomers that might do that, but that's not the overall. That's not the majority. You know, a lot of them are not romantic men. They don't, it's not in them. They very barbaric. You know, you know, the baby boomer women, they lucky enough to get dinner if they get that for their birthday. You know, they not getting flowers, they not getting trips, they not getting purses, they not getting none of that, you know. So please comment below, and I want to hear your thoughts.